This is the biggest scandal in the history of football, and he wasn't talking about his own club. Watch what the president of Real Madrid says right here.
Y vamos a llegar hasta el final, porque es el caso más grande de corrupción que se ha habido en la historia del fútbol en el mundo. Y por el bien del fútbol, no por meternos con el Barcelona, pero a nadie, es que eso no se le pasa a nadie en el mundo.
He was talking about Barcelona. For 2 decades, Barcelona paid millions of euros to the man in charge of Spain's referees, the vice president of the entire refereeing committee.
El jefe de los árbitros repartiera dinero, que Barcelona repartiera dinero al jefe de los árbitros durante 2 décadas. No nos lo podíamos imaginar. Ha salido tarde ese tema.
And here's the part that should really worry every football fan. According to Real Madrid's own president, even after this scandal became public, the referees officiating today are still from that very same era.
Enterado hace 3 años que también nos enfrentamos a un caso de corrupción como el caso Negreira, que no hay precedente en la historia del fútbol mundial, que es el mayor escándalo de la historia.
Same officials, same league, and according to Pérez, one club always seems to benefit. Listen closely to what he says next.
Perjudicado el Madrid y beneficia al Barça. El Barça siempre sale beneficiado, pero hay otros equipos que por hacer esas combinaciones de eso, resulta que también han salido perjudicados y que me lo cuentan a mí.
Barca always comes out benefited. That's not a rival fan talking. That's the president of Real Madrid, on the record, in a live press conference. This is the Negreira case, and honestly, it's just the beginning of Barcelona's problems. Because on top of the referee scandal, Barcelona has been fighting financial fair play violations for years. They've registered players through legal loopholes that other clubs are furious about. Rival teams have filed formal complaints against them, and a corruption case that started back in 2018 is still dragging through Spanish courts today, with no end in sight. On the pitch, Barcelona keeps winning trophies. Off the pitch, the club that calls itself more than a club is facing more controversy than almost anyone else in world football. So here's everything that's actually going on, why LaLiga has looked the other way for years, and why this might be bigger than anyone realizes. Before we get into it, drop a like and comment down below if you've seen this happening with your own eyes, and make sure you're subscribed, because this story only gets crazier from here. So let's actually break down what the Negreira case really is. Between 2001 and 2018, Barcelona paid around 8.4 million euros to a man named José María Enríquez Negreira. He wasn't just anybody, he was the vice president of Spain's Technical Committee of Referees, the exact body that oversees and evaluates referees in La Liga. Barcelona has always claimed they hired him as an external consultant for technical reports on refereeing. Negreira himself has denied ever being paid to influence match decisions. But here's the problem. Prosecutors say those reports either didn't exist or were never even seen by Barcelona's own coaching staff. If the club was paying millions for scouting reports that nobody on the coaching side ever received, what exactly were they paying for? A Spanish court dismissed the bribery charges back in May 2024, but the investigation into sports corruption is still open today, more than 2.5 years later. A judge is currently deciding whether this case goes to a full trial. This isn't some closed chapter from the past. This is an active, ongoing legal case hanging over the biggest club in Spain. Now let's talk about the money problems. Because the referee scandal is only half the story. La Liga runs on strict financial fair play rules, meaning every club has a salary cap based on their actual revenue. Barcelona has spent the last few years operating way beyond what their finances should allow. To register new signings like Dani Olmo and Pau Victor, Barcelona used a legal loophole tied to injured player registrations and controversial VIP seat sales at the Camp Nou, generating paper income just large enough to squeeze under the cap. Other clubs were furious. Atletico Madrid and smaller clubs like Las Palmas formally protested, arguing Barcelona was gaming the system while everyone else had to follow the rules properly. At one point, Barcelona's own financial fair play numbers were so tight that La Liga itself had to publicly explain how the club was even allowed to register its players for official matches. This is a club that keeps finding new, creative, and controversial ways to stay technically inside the rules, while every rival watches and asks the same question. Why does Barcelona keep getting away with it? And this is where it gets even more interesting, because La Liga is now making changes that look like they were built directly around Barcelona's controversies. For the 2026-27 season, La Liga introduced stricter referee and VAR communication rules, including new restrictions on players covering their mouths while talking to officials, something that became a major talking point after refereeing controversies involving Barcelona players. There's also been clearer guidance issued on handball decisions after disputed calls in recent Barcelona matches drew heavy criticism from rival clubs and pundits alike. On paper, these are neutral rule changes meant to improve transparency across the entire league. But timing matters. These changes are landing right in the middle of the most scrutinized period in Barcelona's modern history, while the Negreira case is still open, while financial fair play complaints are still being filed, and while rival presidents are publicly calling this the biggest scandal in the sport. Whether La Liga admits it or not, these new rules exist because of the exact situation we've just walked through. If you've made it this far, comment on your prediction below. Do you think Barcelona finally faces real consequences, or does this get buried like everything before it? And if you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. Let's talk about the stadium, because this is where Barcelona's financial story gets even messier. The Camp Nou renovation, officially called FC Barca, has piled up roughly 1.45 billion euros in long-term debt. That's on top of another 469 million euros in separate operational debt the club is still working through. The project was originally supposed to be finished by the end of 2024. Instead, Barcelona spent almost 2 full seasons playing home matches away from their own stadium, first at the Olympic Stadium, then at a 6,000-seat ground called the Johan Cruyff Stadium that barely met La Liga's minimum capacity rules, and La Liga had to grant them a special exception just to let matches happen there. The stadium still isn't fully finished today. Work on the final tier and the roof is ongoing, and the full 105,000 capacity isn't expected until 2027, 4 years after construction began. On top of the financial strain, there was a labor scandal during construction, with foreign steelworkers protesting outside the stadium over unpaid wages and dangerous working conditions, accusing the club's construction partner of exploiting them to keep costs down. So while Barcelona was publicly celebrating a state-of-the-art new stadium, workers were outside the gates demanding money they were owed. The Lamine Yamal contract problem now. Here's something that should terrify Barcelona fans specifically. Lamine Yamal, arguably the most exciting young talent in world football right now, has been directly caught in the middle of Barcelona's financial mess. Despite Barcelona generating over €1 billion in revenue this season, reports confirmed the club did not have enough space under La Liga's wage cap to even finalize Yamal's new contract when he turned 18. Think about that for a second. One of the most talented teenagers in the sport, a generational player, and the club's own finances almost got in the way of keeping him. Manchester City and Liverpool were reportedly monitoring the situation closely, waiting to see if Barcelona's financial chaos would force his availability. This isn't just about referees or courtrooms anymore. This is about a club so financially overstretched that it risks losing the very players it's built its future around. Barcelona's spending cap sat at just over €432 million as of March 2026. But their actual wage bill was estimated at more than $500 million. That means Barcelona is legally required to keep operating in excess, restricted to strict reinvestment clauses just to register the players already on their roster. And this brings us to the bigger pattern here, because Dani Olmo and Pau Victor's registration crisis wasn't a one-time mistake. Both players were signed in the summer, but Barcelona couldn't register them properly because of their cap situation. Olmo was only registered on a temporary basis, technically covering for an injured teammate, with a deadline attached before his registration would expire completely. If Barcelona couldn't clear enough cap space in time, both players faced being cut loose entirely, and contract clauses would have allowed them to leave for free. Sources confirmed this exact type of clause, allowing a player to walk away for nothing if the club can't register them financially, has become increasingly common in Barcelona's contracts since 2022. Let that sink in. Barcelona has built a business model around signing talented players while knowing there's a real risk they can't legally register them to actually play. This is what happens when a club spends first and figures out the financial consequences later. And it's exactly why other clubs across La Liga keep filing complaints. Because they're forced to build their squads responsibly, while Barcelona keeps finding new ways to bend the same rules everyone else has to follow properly. So let's step back and actually look at the full picture here. This isn't just one scandal. This is a club dealing with a corruption case that's still active in Spanish courts, a referee-committee relationship that even Real Madrid's own president called the biggest scandal in football history, financial fair play violations serious enough to draw formal complaints from rival clubs, a stadium project that's over €1 billion in debt and still not finished, a labor scandal tied to that same construction, and a wage bill so bloated the club almost couldn't register its own best young player. Any one of these problems alone would be a crisis for most football clubs. Barcelona is dealing with all of them at the same time while still winning trophies on the pitch. And that's exactly why this story matters. Because when a club this big keeps operating this way and keeps getting away with it, it raises a real question about whether La Liga is actually willing to hold its biggest club accountable, or whether Barcelona has simply become too important to the league to ever truly face consequences. The Negreira case is still open, the financial situation is still unresolved, and the questions everyone in Spanish football is asking right now aren't going away anytime soon. So maybe the real headline isn't just that Barcelona has a serious problem, it's that La Liga does too, because so far, they haven't done much about it. If you made it this far, let me know in the comments which part of this shocked you the most. The referee scandal, the debt, or the Yamal situation, because I genuinely want to know. Drop a like if this video actually opened your eyes to what's really going on behind the scenes, and subscribe because we're going to keep following this story as it develops.